is a Fox News special report.
Good afternoon from Fox News World Headquarters in New York. I'm Shepard Smith on Fox and my network stations across the nation and on the Fox News channel on cable and satellite around the world. We're expecting the president to make a statement within the next minute on the political situation in Iraq. He's speaking from Martha's Vineyard, where the White House says he's been getting regular updates on the ongoing airstrikes against Islamic State fighters in northern Iraq. That's as another political crisis unfolds to the south in Baghdad. Here's the situation today. The Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is refusing to step down despite urging by the United States. In fact, al-Maliki took to Iraqi television to again demand that he get another term. In the words of a senior Iraqi official to the New York Times newspaper, al-Maliki has, quote, gone out of his mind and lives on a different planet. The Iraqi president snubbed al-Maliki by not nominating him for another term today. The signal is weak, but here's the president.
In Iraq, including some important steps forward as Iraqis form a new government. Over the past few days, American forces have successfully conducted targeted airstrikes to prevent terrorist forces from advancing on the city of Erbil and to protect American civilians there. Kurdish forces on the ground continue to defend their city, and we've stepped up military advice and assistance to Iraqi and Kurdish forces as they wage the fight against ISIL. At the same time, we've continued our daily humanitarian efforts to provide life-saving assistance to the men, women, and children stranded on Mount Sinjar, and deployed a USAID disaster assistance response team to help. Some have begun to escape their perch on that mountain, and we're working with international partners to develop options to bring them to safety. I want to thank in particular the United Kingdom, France, and other countries working with us to provide much needed assistance to the Iraqi people. And meanwhile, our aircraft remain positioned to strike any terrorist forces around the mountain who threaten the safety of these families. This advances the limited military objectives we've outlined in Iraq: protecting American citizens, providing advice and assistance to Iraqi forces as they battle these terrorists, and joining with international partners to provide humanitarian aid. But, as I said when I authorized these operations, there is no American military solution to the larger crisis in Iraq. The only lasting solution is for Iraqis to come together and form an inclusive government, one that represents the legitimate interests of all Iraqis, and one that can unify the country's fight against ISIL. Today, Iraq took a promising step forward in this critical effort. Last month, the Iraqi people named a new president. Today, President Massoum named a new Prime Minister-designate, Dr. Haider al-Abadi. Under the Iraqi Constitution, this is an important step towards forming a new government that can unite Iraq's different communities. Earlier today, Vice President Biden and I called Dr. Abadi to congratulate him and to urge him to form a new cabinet as quickly as possible, one that's inclusive of all Iraqis and one that represents all Iraqis. I pledged our support to him, as well as to President Massoum and Speaker Jabouri as they work together to form this government. Meanwhile, I urge all Iraqi political leaders to work peacefully through the political process in the days ahead. And this new Iraqi leadership has a difficult task. It has to regain the confidence of its citizens by governing inclusively and by taking steps to demonstrate its resolve. The United States stands ready to support a government that addresses the needs and grievances of all Iraqi people. We're also ready to work with other countries in the region to deal with the humanitarian crises and counterterrorism challenge in Iraq. Mobilizing that support will be easier once this new government is in place. And these have been difficult days in Iraq, a country that's faced so many challenges in its recent history. And I'm sure that there will be difficult days ahead. But just as the United States will remain vigilant against the threat posed to our people by ISIL, we stand ready to partner with Iraq in its fight against these terrorist forces. Without question, that effort will be advanced if Iraqis continue to build on today's progress and come together to support a new and inclusive government. Thanks, everybody.
The president speaking from Martha's Vineyard while on vacation, no doubt trying to send a signal that the White House is on top of this, whether the president is in Washington or at Martha's Vineyard. But the elephant in the room here is Nouri al-Maliki, whom he did not even mention. You heard that the president of Iraq has now put a new prime minister-designate in place. That prime minister-designate has promised to be more inclusive. You know, the real problem has been that the Sunni, the Shia, and the Kurds are not all represented equally in this government, and that those who are doing the fighting and some who have joined with them have said, we don't have any prospects for a better Iraq, so we're not going to play along. That is widely around the world seen as the fault of Nouri al-Maliki, who did not have an inclusive government as prime minister. But Nouri al-Maliki has refused to acknowledge that the president has said you must step down. Not only the president of the United States, who didn't even use his name, but the president of Iraq, who said you're gone. Nouri al-Maliki has said, I will not step down. He has called this a slight on the Iraqi constitution. He went to the microphones and spoke to a national audience last night in Iraq at a very late hour and said he's going nowhere and that he will work to fix this problem. So they have the fighting in the north, the religious minorities on tops of mountains starving and to death and thirsty to the point where they're dying by the hundreds, and a political situation in Baghdad which doesn't allow the central government to help out with those problems unless and until Nouri al-Maliki is gone. Those steps have been taken to get rid of Nouri al-Maliki. Nouri al-Maliki says no way. There is a standoff in Baghdad and a humanitarian crisis in the north of Iraq, and the president now urging for calm and a new government. The days ahead will no doubt be critical. Stay tuned to this Fox station if you're watching on Fox or my network stations across the country for complete local coverage, and on Fox News Channel on satellite and cable, where the 5 will have analysis right now. I'm Shepard Smith, Fox News, New York.
This has been a Fox News Special Report.